Okay, so this will be lesson number 4 overall so far for the chapter. We'll have one more after this next week, and then kind of a review type section, and then the following week we will take test. So today's lesson is we're going to calculate the angle and arc measures formed by a tangent in a chord, and then calculate the angle and arc measures formed by two chords. So these are going to be the same formula for both of them, and you'll kind of see the similarity between them. Okay, so the first one, if a tangent and a chord intersect at a point in the circle, then the measure of each angle formed is 1/2 the measure of its intercepted arc. So similar to the one that we did on, well, it was the last lesson, I guess. It's if the angle is on the circle, it's half the measure of the arc. So the measure of angle 1 would be half of arc. Oops, I gotta get my pen out here. Half of arc AB. I should put the measure of arc AB. And then the measure of angle 2 would be half the measure, and then this time we have to use 3 letters because that's bigger than half the circle, so arc ACB. Okay, so the first example says line M is tangent to the circle. Find the indicated measure, so the measure of angle 1. Again, what we're looking for is the arc measure, so then we can use that to figure out what the angle measure would be. So if the arc measure is 132, the measure of angle 1 is going to be half of that. So that's going to be 66. Okay, part B, we want to find the measure of arc EFD. So again, if I trace those letters, EFD, we're looking for that arc. So if the angle measure is 110, the measure of arc EFD, 110 doubled would be 220. Okay, so the tangent in a chord is the same thing as the last section that we did, which is, again, an inscribed angle when the angle is on the circle. Okay, the second one that we want to look at today is going to be what happens when two chords intersect. So this time the angle is inside of the circle. So if two chords intersect inside a circle, then the measure of each angle is 1/2 the sum of the measure of the arcs intercepted by the angle and its vertical angle. So angle 1, what they mean by the intercepted arcs is arc DC and arc AB. So those are the two arcs that are intercepted by angle 1 and its vertical angle. So if I put a red dot on the vertical angle there. So those are the two arcs that are intercepted. So then it's half of the measure of those two arcs. So the measure of arc DC and the measure of arc AB. Okay, so then angle 2, if I switch colors here, angle 2 is going to be this arc corresponds to it, and this arc corresponds to it. So if I switch, the measure of arc AD and the measure of arc BC. So you'd add those two arcs together and then divide by 2. So again, still 1/2 for the formula. We're going to look at, is the angle on the circle, in the circle, or outside the circle? And again, the lesson next week is going to be the one where it's outside the circle. Okay, so let's see if we can find the angle measure. So find the value of x. So again, if I do some highlighting here, here's my arc. Here's my other arc. So those are the two arcs that are formed by the angle x and its vertical angle. Again, if I put a red dot where the other angle would be. So if I add those two together, 112 plus 140, that's going to give us 252, sorry. So then the angle measure is going to be half of 252, so 126. Okay, so again, you're going to add the two arcs together. and then divide by 2 when the angle is inside the circle. Okay, first one, measure of arc ACB. So again, if I highlight arc ACB, that's this one here. This angle is on the circle, so I'm just going to take 120 times 2. So that arc is going to be 240 degrees. Okay, number 2, the angle is inside the circle. So now this one, we have a little extra work to do. We're looking for this arc here. They give us this arc here, but they tell us this angle. So I need to find this angle here. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take 180 minus 52 because those form a linear pair. So that's going to be 128. Right? Yeah. So then I know that 144 plus x is going to equal 2 times the angle. Or I could say that half of the arc measure is going to equal the angle measure that we're looking at. Both problems we're going to end up solving the same way. So if I look at 2 times 128, it's going to be 256. So 144 plus the other arc has to add up to 256. If I take away 144 from that, I get x equals 112 degrees. So that would be the arc measure that we were missing in that problem. So again, just be careful when you're doing these questions to make sure that you're looking at what angles or what arcs are labeled so that you know which one you're looking for. Again, the formula is always the angle measure is half of the 2 arcs added together. So that's what I did here. Again, if I solve this one, I would multiply by 2 on both sides to start with. So I got 144x, plus x equals 256, and then subtract 144. So it'd be the same way. Okay. That is the lesson for today. Again, don't worry about where it says homework, do this page. The homework is already in your OneNote. I distributed all the pages for you, so you guys don't have to worry about copying anything over. I do that because of all the extra time that I have now to get all this stuff done. So you guys don't have to copy anything. You'll just go to your OneNote, go to Unit 11. The notes will be there to fill out, and then the homework assignment will also be preloaded for you already.